Hello, everybody, and welcome to our free parent webinar presented by ABA eCare, Social Connections, Helping Your Child Build Relationships. My name is Crystal Ayala, and I'm the Clinical Director with Interventions Unlimited here in Florida. And this is Alice, one of our wonderful ABA program supervisors and behavior analysts. We have our webinar tonight set for about 30 to 45 minutes. And we're going to talk through some topics related to social connection. So really this webinar is here to empower you with the beginning knowledge and tools to help your loved ones in the area of social connections. We are going to talk a little bit about common social skills challenges and powerful behavior analytic strategies that can be used to overcome them. So if you're not familiar with behavior analytic strategies, we'll introduce you a little bit to the world of behavior analysis tonight as well. Before we get into all of that, we wanted to just share a little bit about who we are here at ABA eCare. Our mission is to enrich the lives of individuals with autism or other unique behavior and learning needs through virtual technology and applied behavior analysis. We truly believe that you should be able to access quality care wherever you live and whatever circumstances may be present for you. We have a group of really highly qualified BCBAs and teachers that are truly passionate about helping children and families and providing the highest quality of care. They're going to challenge, encourage, and educate the individuals we work with in a fun and nurturing environment. We provide telehealth services as well as in-person services in clinics and in homes as well as the community. So we've recently expanded our reach to have our affiliated companies, Alpine Academy, Interventions Unlimited, and Behavior Care Specialists. So now all families can access compassionate and evidence-based care, such as ABA therapy, diagnostic evaluations, mental health service, and educational-based services online, in person, or in schools, and making sure that our reach can go across multiple states across the United States. So after this webinar and tonight, hopefully you're going to leave here and you're going to understand how applied behavior analysis can be used to increase social connections. You're going to be able to identify some common social skills challenges that can be addressed using applied behavior analysis. And you're going to apply strategies to help assist your child with building social connections in your everyday life. In addition, we'll wrap up by helping you identify ways ABA eCare can help empower your family outside of this webinar once you leave us this evening. So first and foremost, as I promised, if you've never heard of behavior analysis, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what ABA is. So important thing for you to note, it is a scientific approach. It starts from a very academic basis and is really founded in the ideas of science. I consider myself a scientist as much as I am a therapist and a teacher. We make changes in the environment to promote changes in behavior. So in regular terms, we set up the environment for success in order to meet those changes in behaviors that we need to see. It's actually proven effective. There's a whole huge body of literature supporting its effectiveness in a variety of arenas, particularly for individuals on the autism spectrum disorder, so much so that the Surgeon General has actually endorsed it as the only scientifically validated treatment for children with autism. In our program especially, but ABA in general, creates individualized programs designed to meet client needs. And that's something for me in working with individuals with special needs over the years that I love most about ABA is that there's not one way to teach. And a kid's ability to progress is only limited by our ability to teach. So we can individualize those programs to make sure our clients are making progress. So one of our big ideas here for ABA is that it can be used anywhere there is behavior. And in relation to social connections, it absolutely involves behavior, meaning we can use applied behavior analysis to teach those social connections. So these time-tested techniques with applied behavior analysis, we take really complex skills and break them down into small steps. So if we think about a conversation, there's lots of different steps that go into it, right? How do I orient my body? Looking at eye contact, stopping, nodding, smiling, having those listening skills. and then responding. So you might see it as just, oh, they're talking. Myself and Alice as behavior analysts see that as really complex skills that can be broken down into small steps. And then we're going to use positive reinforcement to promote that continuous improvement in those behaviors, right? Because reinforcement for us means that we are increasing those behaviors in the future. So we want to encourage and see more of those behaviors in the future occurrence of them. Another big piece of what we do is we collect, analyze, and evaluate data and progress. Very few people love data as much as behavior analysts love data. This means that we not only say, yes, your child is making progress, we can show you that your child is making progress. This means also for us that if I'm trying to see, okay, I put in this new strategy to reinforce these skills, is it working? And guess what? If it's not working, the data will tell us, and then we need to make a change to make sure that it's working in the right direction. So we're always making those changes using data to help guide us to make sure that our clients are really learning important skills. Another major idea here is that it's not really about how we teach, it's about what we teach. And we're not limited because, again, anytime there's behavior, it can be taught using these simple steps that we have here. And it's really about using those strategies of reinforcement, analyzing and consistently making changes in each individual program that allow us to teach these skills. So with that said, a question that I've had over the years and sometimes get, especially in the arena of social connections, is like, well, how can you work on something like that, right? I've had a lot of families that come in and really don't even believe that we can make changes because there's a view maybe that social connections are something innate, that is just something that you're born with and there's nothing that we can change. So I wanted to share a story with you guys. And now I've worked with lots of clients over the years and done research in social skills and worked with a lot of individuals on social skills. But one particular case I had was an individual I was working with. They were diagnosed a little bit later in maybe second or third grade and was experiencing a lot of social challenges. So was having trouble developing friendships, was pretty rigid, wasn't interested in typical things that an 8 or 9-year-old might be interested in. They were more interested in watching the 6 o'clock news than they were in watching a movie. They maybe didn't understand what peers were asking, would blurt out information, couldn't focus and stay still to have a conversation with somebody else. So when I met the family, they really wanted this person to have really meaningful relationships. Um, Very smart child, right? Doing excellent academically, but didn't have those friends or play dates. So really the ultimate goal for this family was that they could go to the movies, have a play date or a sleepover. So the family was very committed. We did lots of parent training where they met with me. I showed them skills. We practiced those skills. And then the individual also received individual therapy and some group social skills training. And we targeted perspective taking skills where we learned, okay, this person is showing you this body language. What does that mean you should do? We also worked on leisure skills, right? Because a lot of it, if you are an 8 or 9-year-old and you want to watch CNN, most 8 or 9-year-olds are not going to want to watch CNN. So we had to teach her to watch movies or videos that were more age appropriate, play video games, and increase those skills, as well as just basic conversation skills, tolerance, and self-management. We taught her, because she was very bright, to use a checklist for her own behavior and what we call self-monitoring, where we would go through a checklist and go through, okay, what does your body positioning look like in a conversation? What are some things you should do when a person says this? How do you follow up with a question? And then we would go through that and she would review her behavior afterwards. And she took really strongly to this because she loved a checklist, and it worked really well for her. Fast forward to a little while into therapy, and she met her goals. She was able to go to movies, have play dates, and started having sleepovers with her friends, and her family was over the moon about it. So I share this to say that absolutely, with the science of behavior analysis, it is possible to build social connections. And it is possible to make progress in that area, even if it seems like there are challenges. It is our job as behavior analysts to identify those challenges and create strategies to work through them. So Alice is now going to tell us a little bit more specifically about some of the challenges that are common. We want you guys to understand some challenges are common both for individuals on the autism spectrum and just for children as they're progressing might present some challenges. So Alice, tell us a little bit about some of the social challenges that children might encounter.
Thank you, Crystal. Social challenges and nonverbal communication, it will be more difficult of recognizing facial expression like body language, face expressions, maintaining eye contact during conversations, keeping that gaze for more than 5 to 10 seconds when people are talking and when they are talking to other people, trouble recognizing body language, movement, expressions that will be more physical instead of verbal, I'm sorry, demonstrating appropriate facial expressions when we're talking, how demonstrating that emotions when you're talking to people and how to recognize to read those from other people. Social challenges and social interactions will be joint peer in activities, like Crystal was talking about, initiation that activities outside in communities to playing with others, um, getting that exchanging in activities, willing to participate in activities, asking questions to others, that exchange in communication that most of the kids are missing, and failing on interesting topic that maybe they're not preferred interest for them, but for others have to keep that awareness and showing that interest that that communication can be more fluent, introducing self to others. Most of our kids have hard time initiating that communication with other kids in social skills, actually, when they need to introduce themselves and when they need to meet new people, joining an exciting conversations, what we were talking about, having a different point of view. Sometimes our kids in the social skill have that situation in where conversation doesn't flow in the way that we want to because they just focus on their own interest instead of others' interest. Social challenges and interpersonal relationships, self-awareness is perspective taking, knowing that not only one perspective is taking, not only what they think is okay, is accepting other thinking that maybe could be different, expressing empathy, knowing other person, being in their place, like showing body language, understanding other feelings that sometimes is very hard when they're not the same feelings that we're feeling, providing compliments, social thinking.
All right, so now we'll talk a little bit about the ABA strategies that we've touched upon a little bit and how do we actually use those to increase social connections, and how you can actually use them in your everyday life, even after you leave here today in this webinar. So in building nonverbal communication, you'll see some pictures here. I am a mom of a toddler going on to maybe 22, I'm not sure there as well. But she is speaking a little bit, but it's mostly nonverbal communication at this point. So, and this is reflective of a younger individual, but also some of our learners are older, but maybe are still working on some of that nonverbal communication. So a really great way, and you can see in this first picture over here, to incorporate nonverbal communication is to engage in interactions like dancing or other preferred activities, where you can have that physical interaction, but you can also create opportunities for eye contact, and these opportunities take place without words, right? We can look at each other while we're playing and dancing. They can look at somebody else. We could be dancing as a group of individuals. So we're not talking and communicating, but there are some of those foundations there for nonverbal communication skills. Another thing will be to have shared activities. So you can see in this picture over here on the far right-hand corner, um, one of the things that we love to do is look at pictures, right? I'm lucky enough that she goes to a child care facility where I get pictures of her day. And one of our favorite things to do at the end of the day when we come home, because she can't communicate with me necessarily about how her day was, we sit together and we look at the pictures. And I might point out some things there, right? So we both have our attention, and we could refer to this maybe as joint attention because we're both looking at the same thing. We both have our attention on these pictures and activities that might have taken place throughout the day, and we're sharing in that experience, right? You can see we're in close proximity to each other. So starting to build those just shared interactions is also a great way to build some of that nonverbal communication. And then in the middle, right, even with nonverbal interaction, even if we can't speak, there are opportunities between peers or other children. This could be between siblings. This could be on a play date under normal circumstances. I know right now, given the pandemic conditions, social interactions are limited to begin with. But even if this is out of the butterfly experience, right? She did not want to let go of that butterfly guide at all. But it's an opportunity then to say, hey, let's show this to your brother or sister or to your friend and have them engage in a basic interaction. So at a young age, interactions are going to be very short. They're going to be mostly nonverbal. And then for some of our learners as well, that same thing is going to be there. Even creating those small little opportunities for the child to engage in those skills is going to create those sorts of opportunities for that. In addition, with things like with multiple individuals or during play or dancing, you can also take the opportunity to model the appropriate behaviors, modeling the appropriate facial expressions, allowing others to be there, and then just having those shared experiences are going to be great ways to build that foundation for nonverbal communication and just the foundation for motivation of interacting with others. So now Alice is going to talk to us a little bit about establishing social interaction. Sorry, Alice, let me go back here for you for a second. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the video and then I'll play it?
Sure. This is a video that I create for one of my clients. Due to the COVID, we have to do a lot of transitions and we have to change our sessions from in-clinic to home basis. So a parent asked me to start teaching the child to start saying more about what is his name. So that will be one of skill that we teach at the beginning when we're initiating those social interactions for early learners. I record myself with my kids. I'm a mother of 3 boys, 2 of them, they're special needs. And I decided to record it and show basic of how we can teach your child on say, what is your name?
Okay, let's see if it'll play for me again.
I think there is no sound.
Sorry, guys, let's try that again. I don't think the sound was there. One more time.
Alex, what's your name?
Ian, what's your name?
Alice, what's your name? Dylan.
Dylan.
Good job, that's right. Dylan is your name.
So in this video, I start teaching the first step of how to teach your child to say your name. I did a verbal prompt when it was my turn to tell my child what was his name. And then eventually we faded out that my voice is not going to be there when you ask your child, what is your name? A child actually learned to say his name during this pandemic, this couple months. So when he went back to the clinic, he's already saying his name. And I feel very comfortable that it was a good teaching strategy for parents, like video modeling. That's one of the prompting two strategies that we can use with our kiddos, showing videos that they can learn more and do modeling prompting.
Yeah, absolutely, Allison. I think this is a great demonstration too of getting the family involved and siblings involved, and also, just like I was saying previously, making this learning fun so that we're not just coming over to a table and drilling things, right? We're taking the opportunity to really practice it in a way that's fun.
This is another activity that we can use with our kids, even at home parents. I use it with my social skill group, and I use it actually for my one-on-one therapy. We can do different activities with pictures. For early learners, this is a great activity to start teaching emotions, how to recognize those emotions. And we even can doing role playing, like what kind of emotion do you do when you're sad or when you're angry, when you're upset? And then we can transition and move on to more advanced or intermediate level, like what is happening in the picture? What do you think happened here in this picture with the boy? I think that we can do a role play,
Sure.
Crystal, so we
Sure.
can show our clients how we work on perspective taking when they're more intermediate level.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Sure.
do like little step and then we can move on.
Okay.
So you're my client and I'm the therapist.
Okay.
Okay, Crystal, what do you see here?
A boy.
What is the boy is doing?
Hmm. He's pulling his hair.
What do you think is that emotion?
He's angry.
That's right, he's angry. What kind of emotions will feel when you feel this way, angry?
Like yelling.
Yes, that's one. What else we can do? What do you do when you're angry?
I break things.
That's right. What else?
Sometimes I yell at my brother and my sister.
Oh, so what we can do to calm down when we're angry?
We can count.
That's one of the skills. We can go for a walk. What else?
Oh, eat a snack.
Yeah. So it is. That's a good one, Crystal.
That's
right.
what I do. I like to
And
eat snacks.
that's I listen to music. So that's one thing that we teach our kids on how to recognize that not only one emotion is all together when we feel angry, right? Because we can feel different kind of emotion, like in a multiple all together, and teaching that skill on what to do. Next time we can practice breathing techniques, so we can show the parents how we teach that breathing technique. Usually I do it when it's a natural occurrence because that's the best way to teach. Like we can practice, but at the same time, when the behavior occurs, is just modeling, using modeling prompts like this is what we do instead of making perspective questions. What the child is learning in this scenario, we identify emotions as very important because if the child is able to identify, we can, the child will be able to identify others' emotions, can identify and recognize his own emotions, and when we recognize that kind of emotions, we can learn how to deal with that emotion because it is okay to feel angry, or it is okay to have be sad, or sometimes be bored, right? In different emotions, but at the same time, when we learn to recognize that emotion, we can learn how to fix and change that environment. Thinking, identify triggers of anger. That will be more when I'm getting anger, this is what happened, what I do, and what can I do instead of getting anger into that point. And that's perspective taking, self-regulation and self-awareness. That will be more like techniques of calming down. That will be more what happened when I'm in the moment, when I'm angry. And reasoning, should I act this way? What can I do to change? Or what can I do to fix it next time?
I think also, Alice, this is good things that you can at home, right, kind of go through with your child as well, even in the moment, right? Going back at, just like we were talking about, the end of the day, reviewing things and going, okay, this is what happened. How did you feel? Why did you get upset? What can we do in the future? And just taking those opportunities as teachable moments and using those kinds of concepts as well.
That's right. It is time to play now. So we're going to pick a couple people from our session today, and we're going to play a game that I play with my kids to increase and expand language communication. So the rules are look at and search for different items. When you find, in this case, it will be an apple. You find an apple and say, I found one, that would be one. Or another way to say, look, there is another one. Then help us to find by saying, do you see or do you look is right there. Don't forget to use full sentence, make comments and questions, and have fun. This is one of the important things that this is how we learn, having fun. We can do a role play with
I went too-
Crystal.
I went too fast. Okay, there's the picture.
Okay, Crystal. So we're gonna find 5 pineapples. Where do you see the apples? Well, the pineapples. I'm sorry.
I found one.
Where is it?
It is next to a cat.
Oh, we have a couple cats. Where? What cat? Which
Do
one?
you see the cat that is on the birdhouse?
On top of the birdhouse?
Uh-huh.
Okay, say it again. Do
on
you see
top.
the?
Do you see the cat that's on top of the birdhouse?
Yes, I see it.
Okay, it's right next to the cat on top of the birdhouse.
Oh, okay, I found it. Yeah. Okay. Do you see the dog that is in the middle of the picture?
No.
Try to. Let's see. Do you see the tables, the round table?
Yes, I see the
Okay,
round
isn't it?
table.
Now, can you see the dog that is next to it then?
Oh, yes, I found it. I see it.
So the pineapple is behind the duck.
The pineapple is behind the duck. And Alice, can
Yeah.
you show us some of your prompts that you sometimes use?
Actually, yes, I did one with you already. Like when you did, do you see the cat that it's on the house? So I tried to make it more functional and more expand that language communication using more preposition. And this is something that most of our kids fail to, even gaining that attention, making like that initiation in do you see, because we're working with group. So we want everybody to participate and gain attention from other kids. Also, I use that comments in that because I noticed that my kids struggle making that. It's like, I don't see it. Can you be more specific? Or where do I find it? Where is it? So that's another way to use this picture so my kids can have that turn taking and make that connection, and that how we start in communication, right? We make questions, other answer, and that back and forth exchange. So the child is learning here in this in activity initiation, like I said, is starting finding the item and trying to be the first one on finding one. Most of our kids because they're very shy and they don't want to be judged by others. So that's one thing that we work on it. It's a judge-free zone that we practice in our clinic. Communication, like I say, expanding communication, building that preposition, finding that position in the phrases that we want to, because even with my English, because I'm Latina, so it's my second language, using that in the right order, sometimes we struggle. Turn taking or taking and waiting for that opportunity to have that chance to talk. Tolerance, because sometimes we have kiddos that they just want to have all the attention, and we have to teach them the skill to wait and give opportunity to others, about asking and commenting like, oh, I see it, I found it, is it, that's something that our kids struggle to. Peer interaction, having that back exchange, that's how we build that friendship, and that's how we build that communication. Requesting for help, like, I don't know, can you help me, can you tell me more about it? And that's what we use. Actually, I use visuals. I don't have it with me right now, I'm sorry, but we use a lot of visual. Basically what I do in these kind of activities, I try to be a little bit back, like turn on my video, I mute myself, and I let that interaction. So when I see that the child is delaying in initiation or it's taking too long in talking, I just use my visuals so they can have a little bit opportunity. Oh, okay, I need to do it. I need to find the, now it's going to be my turn. And it's a good way to not teach prompt dependency, because usually the child get depending of my verbal prompt. And that's something that we practice on our social skill group.
And so Alice is one of our BCBAs, as you could tell, as she's talking about it, that runs our social skills group. So you want to tell them a little bit more about social skills group?
Yes, we have a virtual social skill group actually, and then we will have in the clinic as soon as we go back to after COVID, we have our session with social skill group and where we have more than 3 kiddos and we're expanding that interaction that most of our kids are struggling actually. We have 4 different social skill group, early learners that is basically on teaching the initiation like that in self-introduction, how to exchange communication, how to make comments. And it's more like for little kids and it's based on 45 minutes. And then we transition to more intermediate level in where communication is expanding, then having that back and forth, more perspective taking, problem solving, management. And then we move more to advanced group that we're practicing self-regulation, loving myself, accepting friends, accepting different kind of thinking and thoughts because that's kind of hard. More working on awareness, on showing, nodding, demonstrating that in interaction when we're listening to others. And new social skill that you can talk more about that, Crystal, that is our adult group that I think is going to start now in January too.
Yeah, so we have our young adult group option that is based off of the young adult peers curriculum as well. Again, more of an advanced curriculum looking more at maintaining those social relationships, communicating through text messages, emails, and really focusing on those more advanced skills. One of the things to note about our social skills group as well is we're very careful about making sure the kids that are joining the groups are a good fit for each other. So when we do enroll in the group, we do an assessment where Alice or Crystal, one of our other BCBAs, not me, Crystal, a different Crystal, that runs the social skills group, will do a brief assessment just to make sure it's the right fit and make sure it's the right group. It is based on ages, but sometimes we even find it's more based off the individual learner and we try to get them in the appropriate groups based on that. And yes, the next cycle does begin January 14th. It is 2 sessions per week over 8 weeks, and they're in 8-week groups. And at the end of that 8-week cycle, we reevaluate whether they're still in a good place, intermediate, if they need to move up to advanced. We also offer 2 parent training classes during that time, usually at the start and the end of the group. That is more in depth than this, but more of a group training like we have going on here tonight. And then a fun hangout where it's more of a themed night where you're just having fun and doing games and really taking the opportunity to expand on the social skills, right, that they're working on throughout that time as well. So you see some of the information there, and I'll give some more information on how you can potentially sign up for that virtual social skills group if you feel like it is a good fit or something you might want to explore. Even if you're not sure if it might be a good fit for your loved one, you can always give us a call and we can tell you more about it. And then we can even do an assessment to see if it would be a good fit. If social skills group is not a good fit, that might mean we would recommend just some one-on-one services to start out with. Okay, so to wrap up tonight, just in our concepts, I wanted to leave you guys with some tips and takeaways. So as we talked about, how can you help your kiddo or the individual, the young adult in your life outside of here in this webinar, using some of the things that we use in our social skills groups and our training with our own kids, model those social behaviors, right? So our kids learn so much more by watching us. Now, individuals on the autism spectrum, we actually have to teach them to learn through imitation, but there even are things that they might pick up on. So we do want to be modeling those behaviors like eye contact, good listening skills, appropriate responses, even in the moment, but in living our everyday lives, we want to take those opportunities to model social behaviors. Incorporate your child's interest. This is a great tip overall for teaching anything, but also in social connections. Remember, we talked about dancing, looking at pictures together. You know, in the world, especially when we start to get into middle school age, high school age, devices become the preferred activity. I've tried to play Minecraft and Roblox more times than I can count, and I'm not great at it, and I don't enjoy it. But if it's a child's interest, anime is a child's interest, get involved in that. find out more about it, because the more that you know about that child's interest, the more you can incorporate it and increase that motivation that they're going to want to interact. And then also remember my story about clients that we have worked with that have very limited leisure skills. It's really hard to build meaningful relationships if you're only interested in a handful of things that other kids your age are not interested in. So you can use those interests to leverage new interests to expand their horizons and hopefully increase the likelihood that they will have meaningful relationships. Like Alice demonstrated in her video with her sons, help your child perform skills using prompts. And also, like she talked about and showed you when we do our social skills groups, right? The prompts are an assistance to help get them to where they need to be. So we might need to show them, we might need to have a signal or a keyword or something that helps them with those skills as they're learning. But Alice brought it up as well. We don't want that to become a crutch or prompt dependency, as we call it, right? We want that to be the helping starting off point, and we want to get rid of those. But if you need to teach them, help them learn how to interact first before sending them off on their way. Use praise and rewards. Go ahead, Alice.
And something that you it's very important to recognize that when you look around in society, most of the kids, they don't require prompts. So we're just there to teach them just a little bit, but then we have to know when to remove those prompts so the child become more in a natural environment. So we're not going to be there all the time to provide those prompts. So yeah, of knowing when to remove that prompt so the child could become more independent.
Absolutely. And I would say the same with praise and rewards too, right? We definitely want to draw attention to the good behaviors that we see when they are engaged in appropriate social interaction and make a big deal about it. But we don't want it, and this is something that behavior analysis, I think, gets a bad rap for, right? Is that then it's like, I need something for everything I do. We don't want it to turn into that way. But in order to get those behaviors going, we do need to associate more positivity. Unfortunately, a lot of times by the time kids get to us, especially if they're a little bit older, by the time they're reaching social skills group or ABA therapy, they've already had a number of unpleasant social interactions. A lot of times the kids we work with also are extremely bright and don't like to fail and be uncomfortable at things. And when you don't understand somebody's social interactions, or you're looking at their facial expression, or you see that they're uncomfortable, but you don't quite understand why, it creates an uncomfortable situation for them. So we need to create a safe place for them to practice these skills, and also reward and acknowledge those small steps in the right direction, so that, remember, we talked about positive reinforcement, those behaviors occur more frequently in the future. We also get the family involved, right? If there's siblings, bring them in. If they're great models for social skills, have them demonstrate some of those skills. Have family board game nights. I know, Alice, that was something you mentioned as well, right? Practicing those things and just incorporating those games that you can have as well, so that you all are involved in that process. And then we showed you a couple different ways of making learning fun. I think that's a big thing we know, right? Again, as a parent too, right? Working parents, at the end of the day, the last thing we want to do is be drilling our kids with things. And especially in the social skills and connections arena, you want to make sure you're having fun. Incorporate those learning activities. It doesn't have to be a separate thing where I'm going to dedicate this many hours a week to doing it. Dance, have a good time, play a board game, look at pictures, watch a movie, incorporate your social interactions during fun times. Also using teachable moments, right? We talked about that with the activity Alice showed us with perspective taking. Sure, things are going to happen where we're not going to have a great social connection with somebody at school, or maybe I had a falling out with my friend, but let's use that as a moment. Let's go through it. What's going on here? Okay, what did I do? How can I change this? What are we going to do tomorrow? And asking those questions and using that as a way to learn something about it, as a teachable moment, not a failure. And when in the fact that you need more help, we are here to help. We can provide additional support. We offer parent training seminars such as this, individualized programs, social skills groups. We understand that there could be additional challenges, and it's just, we are here if you need us. So we encourage you guys to connect with us on social media outlets. So at ABA eCare to find out more about these parent webinar series that we have. And then from our affiliates, Interventions Unlimited, Alpine Academy, and Behavior Care Specialists. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on our social media outlets so you can find out more about our services and events. And I also want to say, if you're leaving here tonight thinking I'd like to get started, even if you're not sure, again, if it's the right fit for you, even if you're not sure if your insurance covers our services, you can reach out just to get started to our intake department, and they can walk you through that process. So please feel free to email our intake coordinator at intake@abaecare.com or give them a call at 866-569-7395, and they can walk you through the next steps and talk to you a little bit about exactly what our services are and what might be a good fit for the individual in your life that you think this might be a good fit for. I also want to point you guys as some reminders to our upcoming events. We do have our next virtual social skills group cycle beginning January 14th, 2021. Get you guys through the holidays and allow for a fresh start in those groups. We do still have ongoing groups going on right now. We're in our current 8-week cycle, but we do have ongoing evaluation for those groups and groups currently available. And we're always looking to create groups so that we can better serve as our clients and make sure that their needs are being met. So even if you think, oh, I'd like to join something sooner, reach out to us and we can get something figured out for you as well. Our next free webinar is going to be on December 7th, just in time and before the holidays. And the topic will be on reducing holiday stress for children with special needs. So we hope that you guys will join us as well. Thank you for taking the time out to spend some time with us this evening. And I want to encourage you guys, as we end the seminar tonight, a survey will pop up in your web browser. Please take a moment to fill that out and just let us know how we did. You'll also, if you don't have time and you have to move on to something, we also will send that out in an email for you. So we do really value feedback and hope that you will provide us with some. And thank you so much for joining us. And we hope that you will come back and see us again another time. Have a good night.
Have a good night. Thank you.